we're really excited because Son of the South is coming out, and it's a really exciting film. It's a really poignant film, I think, right now with everything that's going on in the last year with BLM protests and and that's the reason why I wanted to reach out to you again and have this call today. What do you think?
The last 4 years have been very troubling. We have today more hate groups than we had in 1961. And in that sense, we still have the violence. There's still just the difference between what happened at the Capitol and what happened when Black Lives Matter was so stark. Where here was basically a nonviolent march protest that was handled with brutality by the powers that be. And yet, nothing much happened when the mob got to the Capitol. It kind of reminded me of what we encountered in Montgomery. The situation had been set up where Floyd Mann had told Patterson that he would provide protection for us all the way. Well, he basically said all the way through Alabama. And the sheriff of Montgomery, sheriff, police chief, whatever, he said, "Oh, you don't have to worry about Montgomery. I'll take care of Montgomery." However, he basically lied, and he told the Klan they would have 30 minutes before any police presence would show up at the bus terminal. But it was that kind of, you never knew what was going to happen to you. When we pulled into the Montgomery bus depot, Catherine Brooks saw a squad car pull out, and she pointed it out to John and myself, because we were seatmates. And she said, "Look, there goes the police." And John looked and he said, "This is not good."
That's you and John Lewis, right?
Yep. Oh, it brings back a lot of thoughts of John passing this year and what he encountered on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and how he would take members of Congress back there to have them see what it was like. I think was good. But I was just so disappointed in so much that Trump did. I mean, his attitude, I couldn't believe, the ban on Muslims, the separation of children from their families. It just seemed everything he did was hateful and mean-spirited, and that he could lie so blatantly, repeatedly, and that people would believe him. That old adage, if you lie enough, sooner or later, people are going to think it's true. And that's what people did. And the scary thing was, that's pretty much what Hitler did in getting Germany to buy into what he was preaching. Scared the hell out of me, really did. And Biden's got an awful lot on his plate. I hope he can pull it off.
Yeah.
And the thing is, right now, I'm not sure who there is that can pick up that element of conscience that John had in Washington. I like Cory Booker. I think he expresses much of the philosophy of love and nonviolence. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough.
Yeah. How do you think that the leadership back in around the events in '61 differed from Trump?
Oh, 180 from Trump. The closest I think you came would have been some of the Southern governors. Wallace, Patterson, the Mississippi governor, I forget his name at the moment. But in the South, at that time, your police, sheriff, law enforcement was strongly segregated. I mean, the 3 kids that were killed in Mississippi were killed by law enforcement. And an awful lot of the killings, the brutality, the lynchings, were law enforcement and community leaders. I mean, the preachers were out there lynching them. We're preaching the gospel of the Klan. I don't think you have that as much. You still, unfortunately, we still see violence within law enforcement, but it's not as blatant as it was back then. There's still an awful lot that needs to be done. I don't think there's anyone that has replaced the position of king, for instance. He was the figurehead, the drum major for justice. And I just don't see anybody that has that presence in our country today.
Yeah, it seems like Trump was he was a really good president for a certain portion of the population.
The rich ones. Yeah.
It's very encouraging to see Biden, say, bring the message of unity. I think it's going to be hard. Let me ask you this, though, because I'm originally from South Carolina. I lived all over the world, but I had friends on every side of everything. And
Mhm.
one thing that's become really important to me over the last year, especially, is um, the search for truth. Right. I think that you definitely, my friends on both sides of in the U.S., both sides of the issues here, they most people believe that they are pushing the right message, that they're fighting for the right thing. And you look at the Capitol riots, you know, a lot of people there, they think they're pushing for the right thing. But when you step back and look at, in actuality, what's happening is you have people that are fighting on both, like, opposite sides of things. And there's no way that both can be right. There's no way that both can be true. So my question is, how do you know, how do people find truth? How do you know that what you're fighting for is the right side of things, and that you haven't been slipped to the wrong side?
Truth, I look at and say, look at the comparison. Love, hate. Which produces the most positive good? I have yet to see hate produce anything positive in the person, in the hater, or in their hatred. The acceptance of nonviolence, and Jim kept saying, nonviolence, they used to use Gandhi's term of it's a soul force. It literally is at the very essence of your life. When you embrace nonviolence, you are never the same. You cannot be the same again, because love now dominates your life. Love and nonviolence are like that. When you think of the lies that have been told, it usually results in some kind of a negative act, opinion, decision. But when you tell the truth, when you forgive, I think forgiveness is an incredible force. And the final step in all of it too is reconciliation. You know, people have said the whole movement was so much more than eating a hamburger in a lunch counter with your friends. It was changing people's lives. It was touching people's essence, their souls, to get them to think there's a better way. There's a way where goodness can come out of this. And to have been a part of that was such a blessing, such a privilege.
Yeah, Jim, you started off today by saying that, that there's more hate groups today than there were back in '61. Um, where do you think we are as a country now? Do you think we've progressed at all? Do you think we've digressed?
In some ways, we've digressed. I think we're kind of on a cusp. There is, and I will say, I think the majority of our country are good, caring people. Unfortunately, you've got that element that and I've got to say, I think so much prejudice, hatred is based on false information or a scary incident or some of it is even, I think, to blame on the media. When we, this is one of the first times where you saw the white people breaking in the windows, although, and grabbing stuff and taking pictures of things. Too often, it's the African Americans that are walking out with boxes of designer shoes or breaking in windows or burning cars. And I think on both sides, we need to lessen that coverage. We still need the message of the church. Whatever the church that teaches love and acceptance, understanding, forgiveness, that message needs to continue. And those of us that believe that need to practice it and challenge the situations that are untruthful, where there's bias without foundation, hatred, whatever you want to say. Got a long way to go. And that's always been the message. We've come a long way, but we have a long way to go.
Well, Jim, I also want to just let you know that it was a real honor for me to be able to represent you in the film.
Thank God they're on the positive side. And I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's been great talking to you, and I wish you all the success in your career, man.
No, thank you so much.
God bless.
Yeah, God bless.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.